All right, all right. Welcome everyone to Grey's Academy 101. Got a couple of exciting things going on today. We are streaming across multiple different platforms now, and I'm using OBS. So if you've joined us in other Grey's Academy, you know there might be hiccups and bumps along the ways, but we will have fun through the process anyways. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So, of course, we have to have our forward-looking statement. So if there's anything we discuss today, know that this is a future forward-looking thing. Pause it if you need to read it. I can kind of duck out of the way if you need to see any of the extra text. All right, a little about me. My name is Gray Juba. I'm a technical marketing manager focused on industries here at Splunk. I'm a former automation controls engineer. What that means is I used to program the machines that make things like pencils, toothpicks, bubblegum, hardwood flooring, carpet, and all the things above. I've been a Splunker for over 3 years and was a customer before that. I focus generally on non-traditional use cases of Splunk. So this can be things like how to correlate data from the manufacturing floor, how to start thinking about how to use non-traditional data, things that people wouldn't normally think about in the traditional case of IT security operations. My first conf was in 2016. It was my first experience on the comp floor, and have absolutely fallen in love with Splunk since then. Not that I wasn't a big fan before, but I just knew that this was the tool for me. A little about me: home brewer, beekeeper, barbecuer, and fisherman. Feel free to inquire about any of those if you want to know more about them, because I could probably blow through the rest of the whole hour talking about those things. Sweepstakes. Feel free if you want to enter into our sweepstakes. It's a $25 gift card. Gives you access to the Splunk gift shop. Ends September 31st. There are 10 winners, one entry per person. Winners announced at the end of the month. And a little bit about Grey's Academy. I saw some things in chat talking about some different applications. Today we will be going over kind of like the introduction of what Splunk is, like Splunk 101, how to get data in. We're going to be going through the 101 course, guiding through, ask questions, see what you think about it, and then we can kind of dive into those. The second one is the second Thursday. It's kind of an intermediate level where we start going into some new tools within the Splunk application. This could be like learning how to use the new Dashboard Studio, or some other new features that come out, and we can kind of dive into those and dig in a little bit more, ask questions. We'll get some experts on. And then the third Thursday is the proficiency level expert. This is kind of what I start focusing on, those non-traditional use cases for those people that have been experienced with Splunk, but want to kind of dive in a little bit deeper onto some other of those use cases. So in my cup bread and butter, those non-traditional use cases. So live streaming theme, ask questions. It can be about Splunk. It can be about me. One of the things that as we've transitioned into this COVID world, we've started kind of changing how we do things as far as just life in general. So as we start thinking about how we interacted like conf, we used to have the pavilion. We still, there's going to be a lot of changes, as far as all conferences moving forward. Official things are still being announced for ours, but that is still coming up next month. Some things to know about it, like when we go down to the pavilion, you get to talk with the developers and really start digging into a lot of those things that the developers were talking about, ask questions. And this is what I really want to start inspiring from, the streaming application, really kind of start asking questions. So if we can bring in some of those specialists, you can start digging in and we can all have fun. Again, sometimes you're not here to watch people play games over and over and over and over again. So you have there's a tendency. So as I do some of the things, there will be happy accidents along the way. We don't make mistakes. We make happy little accidents. We figure it out and we move forward. And we do have the moderators here to make things fun, and also at the same time, handle the giveaways, answer the questions, reference material, and help ask me funny questions. So as far as we move forward. So I see somebody already asking questions. What's my favorite Splunk search command? I mean, it's got to be time chart for me. Personally, it's just the tool, the command that allows me to visualize things in the time series. Again, I came from the processing controls manufacturing world. So being able to display data in time series and compare it from, let's say, one shift or production schedule to another, that was huge. To be able to do it so quickly and apply those commands piecemeal it exactly how I want to do it. So that was probably my most favorite and powerful. There are some variations in which I will use the stats command and bin the time into buckets, which kind of adjusts the visualization of how that data looks a little bit differently, but those two are my favorite. So things we'll go over today is Splunk Cloud, how to get started. We won't go through the whole process, but I'll show you where to get started if you want. If you're new, want to sign up and find some more information. We're going to be installing tutorial data. We'll do the Splunk Cloud tutorial, and we'll do some questions and answers at the end if you want to know some more. And all right, well, let's get started. Again, using OBS for the first time, so we might have some transitions that might go a little out of the blue, but you know, happy to have you guys all here joining me in this process. All right, so let me move my screen around and we will dig in. So first things first, if you want to get started with Splunk Cloud, just go directly to our website. You can just simply go into splunk.com and go here and sign up for free Splunk. And during this process, oops, I'm already logged in, so let me go ahead and log out real quick so you can see this process. So you click on free Splunk, fill out the information in here, make sure you click on the cloud trial here at the bottom, and if you would prefer to do the software download, you can do that as here, but make sure you kind of click that during this process. Where are McDreamy and McSteamy? Well, I guess I'm not them, so I won't take too much offense to that, but we'll just keep on going. So we'll get started. Download Splunk, and within a few minutes, you'll get an email with your abilities to log in. During that time, if people are following along with me, I'll just kind of talk over some things. We'll go over the Splunk search tutorial that we have pulled up on the right-hand side. If maybe one of the mods could help me out. Actually, I can do the Splunk search tutorial right now. I'll just send that out real quick. And everybody will have that right there if they want to kind of get some documentation about where we're going. And so, and again, we're going to be doing this every single month. Ideally, it's going to be the first Thursday. So if you have somebody in your team that wants to know more about Splunk, you're saying, hey, there's a Splunk tutorial, there's a Splunk tutorial, there's a Splunk tutorial. Maybe it might be the best step just to say, hey, you know what? How about you just join this Twitch stream or this YouTube stream or this LinkedIn stream and kind of dive in and see exactly what's going on. And if you want to find out some more information. So if you don't miss it this week, know that we're going to be doing it next month. We will be having comps, so there'll be some kind of changes as far as some of the schedule goes, but no, we are ready to go here on out. All right, so diving in, I've already, for this tutorial, I've already set up a Splunk instance. I am doing the enterprise instance, but do know that if you do the iCloud, it's the exact same part of the tutorial. I just have it so if there's some questions that need to go into the back end, let's say props, transforms, how to start and stop my Splunk instance. And again, there might not be questions that I can answer, but you know what? If you want to follow up, we can make sure that we can see if we can help you out. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is Splunk's first screen you'll see. This is the launcher home screen. You have the search and reporting, which is the app that comes with the Splunk application. We'll be spending most of our time here. If you ever get lost and you need to kind of get back to the screen, you can just go ahead and click the Splunk Enterprise on the top left-hand screen, and then just go into the search and reporting. But before, we'll skip the tutorial. If you feel like going through the tutorial, please check it out. Whitney, we have somebody that's asking about the giveaway. Is it possible that you can drop that in the chat for me? I could potentially just link it here as well. All right, so we'll skip to the tour. So step one, getting started. What do you need for this tutorial? So I think we kind of covered that. Splunk Enterprise. Again, if you want to do the Splunk Cloud version, you can just click up here at the top and go to the Splunk Cloud platform. But really, at the same thing, everything is the exact same for both Cloud and Enterprise for this tutorial. But we'll skip through, well, let's navigate the Splunk Web so we can have an idea of what exactly we're looking at. We kind of talked about a little bit at the Splunk bar at the top, the apps panel over here on the left-hand side when we go to the original screen, and then we explore Splunk panel. Let's see what else we got here. If you do look at the Splunk Cloud, you might see some differences, but for the most part, all the layout is basically the same. Some things that you might want to look into as far as your account settings. If you need to change your password, you can do that here. Preferences if you want to change your time zone. Some of the things we'll get into, these are like just things that you kind of look at as far as the SPL editor, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But you can do those edits here. I like to add line numbers and search auto format, so it makes it a little bit prettier for me. And then, of course, we got to go with dark theme, so we'll just apply those real quick. Go back to our home screen, and we'll get started. So let me scroll up to the top, and we're going to do the first step, and that is upload the tutorial data. So the first thing we need to do is go to settings. I've already downloaded the data, but if you need to download the data, you can follow the instructions right here. Download the tutorial data. I center clicked on that, so it opened up in a new tab for me. And here's those two data sources that you need to download. So we're going to go back and we're going to click on add data. Skip the tutorial. We're experts, we're ninjas. And we're going to go ahead and click upload from my computer. And then we're going to select the file. And what we're going to do in the first case is, let me scroll down a little bit and make sure we select the first file. Yeah, tutorial data zip. And that's right here, tutorial data. And you don't unzip it, you just keep it compressed. Make sure. And yes, you can use Splunk on a VM. And that's basically what I've done here. I've spun it up in a believe it might, I can't remember which cloud platform, but I did a bring your own license and I spun it up instance and running it there. So preview is not supported. That is fine. We expect that error. But some of the things that you need to look at here. So there's some of these segment paths. The first time I did this, I always forget and I skip over this. And what you need to do is you need to copy this little expression. For me, it's doing Windows. If you're doing Linux or Mac, you need to just put a 1 for the segment number, or for Splunk Cloud, put a 1. So for me, I'm going to go and do the regular expression on path, and I'm going to paste that here. And then what we want to do now is define which index we're going to go to. In this particular case, we could keep it default or main, or we could create a new index. For today, we're going to keep it a main so we don't have to necessarily define index every single time we do one of these searches. And looks like the sweepstakes, I'm going to copy that sweepstakes link and see if I can send it to everybody, because I think it might have just gone to a few of them. And yep, there we go. There's the sweepstakes links for everybody that didn't see that in the screenshot when I went through there. All right, so index equals main, or main, but just keep it at main for now. And we'll go ahead and review and upload. Looks like somebody's having issues on the LinkedIn stream. Might have to check that out. If you're having issues with LinkedIn, you might try some of the other platforms that we're streaming through, which is YouTube and Twitch. You can find us over at either one of those, the Splunk YouTube channel. So, okay, let's get back to this tutorial. Click review, we did that, and then we click submit, and then now we can start searching. So we'll go ahead and click start searching. All right, so it might look a little bit different. That's one of the things I did, is I did dark mode just because of a preference, personal preference. Some of the things that it defined here is index equals main. This is actually not really that necessary since it is our default index. and we can just follow along right there. And if you did if you by chance defined a different index or created a new index, you would need to make sure you define that index in the very beginning. All right, so next we're going to click on the Splunk logo to return to the Splunk home. Let's just click exploring the search views. All right, so we already kind of went through some of the Splunk search views. We talked about all the dashboards, visualizations. I guess we can talk about the time picker. So that's one of the things. For today, we'll probably spending most of our time in 24 hours, in some cases maybe all time. But no, if you're working on a live instance, you might not want to do all time, especially if it's a production instance. Your Splunk admin may not be necessarily too thrilled about that. So that's why we kind of recommend for your first time to sign up for Splunk Cloud and start working there, because it kind of gets you set up without necessarily hurting any production instances as far as like overloading too much CPU. All right, we went through everything here. We talked about some of the things that we have here is if you we've got like a job inspector. So if I come over here and I see my search history, I'll just pull that last one up that I did. We got some job inspectors. We see exactly that. Let's do all time. That's one of the things. Just pull all that data in. You can see the job inspector, pause the search if it's going on forever. You know, some different features as far as the verbose, smart, and fast mode. A little bit too advanced really to kind of talk about it in this tutorial 101, but know that there may be some cases where you might need to investigate that. We specified the time ranges. We did that a second ago because the data we're pulling in is static data. All right, so specifying time frame. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to type in Buttercup Games. And it also automatically found some matching terms for us. You can see that defined right there. And we'll click enter. So what we're doing is another thing to kind of note is we're kind of doing our first search to filter all the data from different systems, from all the instances from the main instance. And as we kind of dig in, what we can also assume that there's a search command here. So search is basically one of the commands you can find from Splunk knowledge base. And if you just type in search and press enter, it actually disappears because it's understood that it already exists there. So just keep that in mind as you're going through this process. So time ranges and the tutorial data. We talked through the preset time, some of the things to think about. We've got relative time, and then we have real time. Know that this is a continuous search on your Splunk instance. So if you do all time, real time for, let's say, 1 hour window, you're going to do a lot of CPU consumption on the back end. So just, like I said, keep that in mind. Okay. You do have some other additional things that you can start filling in as far as like the earliest, relative, real time, date range, if you know specifically when that data was existing. All right, let's get into some fun stuff. Let's get into some searches. All right, so go ahead. If you're following along with us, you'll go to the Search Enterprise in the top left-hand screen, click on Search. And we did this already, but we're going to type in Buttercup, and I bet you it'll automatically fill it out for us. We don't have data in the last 24 hours, so we're going to just go ahead and click all time. When you type the first few letters, yep, you'll see it drop up. And you type to categories, Buttercup came up for us. And Buttercup Games, so we'll do category. And we can see that a couple things started popping up for us. So what we want to filter on is category sports. And then press enter or click the search icon over here in the top right. And at this point in time, to kind of give you an idea of what's going on, is Splunk has now applied this name value pair to all of our data. And you can see what we've done is filtered on anything that has category ID equals sports. Okay. So we're skipping down, we'll start looking at retrieving invents from the index. For example, typing So let's try to find out how many errors have occurred on the Buttercup Games website. To retrieve events that mention errors or failures, you type the keywords in your search criteria. If you use multiple keywords, you must specify Boolean operations such as and, or not. The and operator is implied when you type in multiple keywords. For example, typing in Buttercup Games error is the same as typing in Buttercup Games and error. So we'll just kind of go through this process, start a new search. So you can just go over here, click on search, and it'll reload the dashboard with a clean search for you. And what we're going to do is Buttercup Games. So today we are going over Splunk 101, just a basic tutorial guide of how to get started with Splunk. If you want to follow along, it's just a very simple streaming guided process as far as Buttercup Games goes. So, as the stream goes, it's just a 101 if getting started how to use Splunk. I'm reading and speaking what I'm reading through the chat. So we have Buttercup Games and or error. So to kind of give an example, we're just going to type in error. So what we're going to do is going to say Buttercup Games and the keyword error. Again, we have to define all time. And it now returns 427 events. So how many events do we just have? Buttercup Games. We have 7,004. Ooh, more than that, a lot more. So we're not going to wait for that to finish, but we're going to go ahead and type in error. And what we're going to then do is do a Boolean logical operator, which is or, fail, star. So anything that starts with fail, so it can be failure, failed, fail, it'll kind of bring those in as well. Or, and severe. Again, I'm not the best at spelling, but we're going to have fun. Happy accidents along the way. And now what we've done is said, give me a result set that includes the term Buttercup Games, error, or fail, or severe. So then we can now kind of highlight all of our issues that we can potentially be having with. So as far as working with the API, that isn't something that we will do in this 101 series. But if that's something that we can, if you're interested into digging in a little bit more about, we can add that into our roadmap. There will be a survey at the end that you can fill out. If you wanna, if we can potentially drop that in chat, if you want to follow along in that how to interact with the API, we might be able to include that later on. At a future time, we may be uploading this to YouTube. I don't know if we're going to be doing the full, but we will be doing segments. Again, we'll be doing this every single week, or every single month, beginning on the first Thursday around the same time. So just keep it out, mark it on your calendar, let your friends know. All right, so moving forward, understanding the search results. So as we kind of define, what are we looking at here? Now that we've done this search, we've got a lot of information, and now let's kind of dig into what this means. And again, if you're interested in watching this later, you can go to the Twitch stream and then follow and watch the previous streams. And I think YouTube probably saves the previous streams as well. So just depending on which is your platform of choice. All right. So looking at what we've got, selected fields, interesting fields, and then we have what we refer to as events. And inside of these events, we have all this information automatically broken out for us. So it can become a little bit overwhelming, but let's really kind of dig into what all is going on here. So the first thing, let's follow what the instructions say, because I can just willy-nilly go about this, but we want to make sure we go with what the instructions guide us to. All right, so let's just talk about it. So over here on the left-hand side, we have interesting fields. Well, what is a field? A field is a value inside of an event. Well, what is an event? An event is a time-stampable chunk of information that you've split and ingested into Splunk. So right here at the top, this is our event. And within our event, we have fields, and fields are searchable. And this is the kind of the value of Splunk. Splunk brought this data in, and then after the fact kind of pulled out all this valuable information for us to start and available to search on as we go along. And so as you kind of see this, it's just we've got an event at the top, and then we have fields below, and then we have interesting fields over here on the left hand side, so you can start getting a little bit of information about, like, okay, well, what is message over here? MSG. Okay, well, it really is, there's 5 values, and it's 100% event, so we know that it exists in every single one of the events, and these are the type of messages we see. We have some other things. We know that it's in the index. We have some other information, but just overall, we've got our events, we've got our fields, and then we have interesting fields that you might want to dig into. We'll go in a little bit further about some of the uses and values of all those buttons inside of there. So, all right, what are fields? Like I said, fields are fields exist in machine data in many forms. Often a field is a value with a fixed delimited position on a line or a name and value pair. Where there is a single value to each field name, a field can be multi-valued. That is, a field in a single event can have multiple values in a field. So, for example, depending on how the data was ingested, you could potentially have 2 values that are called message, and then have 2 results. You'll see them in kind of like a list view. All right, so let's do a little bit more Splunking. So we're going to clear this out. We're going to say source type equals access underscore star. Now we're going to pull in all the data that includes access underscore star. And as we look at this, we should see a couple different matches, source type access. Looks like we only have one in this particular case, which is access underscore combined with cookie. I think this is an instance as far as that ingesting the data, kind of making it package it up, the difference between Linux and Windows. Something happens to the back end that's relevant to Splunk, but just something that seems it might drop off some of the data just for the test tutorial data. All right, so let's kind of dig in a little bit for field. So we have some selected fields over here on the left-hand side. So maybe we want to specify some additional selected fields. When you add, okay, so you can designate other fields to appear in the selected fields list. When you add a field to the selected fields list, the field name and field value are included in the search results. To add fields to the selected fields list, click All Fields at the top of the Fields sidebar, All Fields, and then Select Fields dialog box will show a list of fields in your events, and the number of values column shows the number of unique values for each of the fields in the list. So basically that means if there's hosts, there's only 3 different hosts, but you have many results from that whole entire instance or from your whole data set. So, for example, client IP, we have over 100 different distinct IPs, but you could see that same distinct IP multiple times in the data set. All right. So we'll just kind of breeze along. Here's the 3. So, okay, so we want to select action, category ID, and product ID. All right, so we have action. We're going to select category ID and product ID. So I know I'm seeing a lot of people saying they're having issues with the LinkedIn streaming, like it might be a little fuzzy. But we'll dig into that next time to make sure that that's not the case. It might be on my end, but we'll investigate further later. All right, so basically what I've done is I've selected these and included them in these interesting fields over here on the left-hand side, so we can see those pop up at the top. So you see them kind of brought up to the top over here on the left-hand side. And then if they exist, you'll see them kind of brought out in this location here. So let's say we want to come in and see category ID. Let's see if we can find a category ID. We'll move forward. So under the selected fields, notice there is a number 5 next to the term action. So we'll click on action. And then the summary field for next for action will open up. In this, you'll be able to see the set of results that are 5 values for action. We kind of talked about that. Action will appear in over 50% of your search results. Close the action summary. Review the 2 fields that as well. Take a quick look at category ID. And you can see all the different result sets. And then product ID. You can see those results there as well. Scroll through the events list, the icon, the information. We kind of clicked on that already. And you can start seeing a lot of the more detailed information inside of your data set. All right, we're going to start a new search. We're just going to keep it on all time for this case, and then we're going to copy the source type. Source type equals underscore access status 200 action equals purchase. Oh, all time. And now we can see that we have 5,224 cases in which the status was 200 and the action was purchased. Change the status portion of the search to equal not. So if you want to say not equals 200, you would say exclamation point or bang equals 200. And now we're going to see all the cases in which the action was purchased and it was not successful status. And we drop down to 513 events. Just check in chat, see if there's anything. All right, so now we're going to search for errors. We kind of went along this, but, you know, we'll just come over here and delete the existing search. And we're going to type in, remember, search is our first command, but it goes away. Error, or, fail, star, or, severe, or, status equals 404, or status equals 500, or status equals 503. And if I did everything right, we should get some results. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And click on source in the selected fields list. The search does not specify a source type. The search retrieves events from both the security log file and the web access log file. Security log file and the web access log file. All right, search for the sales of a specific product. Instead of, I'm going to copy this over and make our lives a little bit quicker and faster so we can get to some dashboarding and visualization. All right, so search for how many simulation style games were bought yesterday. So what we've done is we've said source type access equals underscore, status equals 200, so success, action equals purchase, in the category of simulation. So yesterday, well, in the particular case, we said all time, we had bought 246. The latest event we have is in June. So what we can do is say, let's see if we can do previous year. No, not previous year. Previous month. No, we gotta do all time. I won't waste our time kind of clicking the time picker to make sure we get down to the exact time frame of what we're doing. All right, so remove category equals simulation. Find the number of purchases for each type of product sold on the Buttercup Game Store online. So now we are looking at all the different games. So I might skip ahead a little bit here just so we can have some fun here. We're going to do a command. So we're going to say, you know what? I want to see time chart. I want to see the amount of purchase by category ID. So time chart count by category ID. All right, so now you can see what we've done here is we've created a quick little chart to see what our total purchases over the month of June and those time periods, and you can see that now visualized. And we're going to change this to a line chart. We'll get into a little bit. Again, my favorite is time chart, so I got to just kind of jump into that real quick. I'm going to drop in this survey here for people if they have any questions. I want to see more, dive in a little bit more. For other questions, look in chat for a survey that we'll be sharing later in the stream. So just kind of want to show you a little value of time chart. We'll get back to this tutorial now. So we removed category simulation, and let's do using the search language. I already talked about this assistant, so you can come over here to preferences, and you can start talking. Oh, actually, you know what? We're going to keep this up because this is valuable. From the account menu, set preferences, and then click on SPL editor. We kind of talked about this a little bit. On the general tab, you'll want to select to make sure you click on full, because this will give you a lot of detailed information about how to use the solution, as far as like some of the key, gives you kind of like a quick view of how to use specific commands if you need some help. Matching terms, again, it kind of shows you some additional things. So apply, and they want us to kind of select the following search from the matching searches, or okay, so we're going to start typing. Click search in the app bar to start a new search. Start from the beginning, change to all time, then type the letter S in the search bar. The search assistant will show a list of matching searches and matching terms. It also briefly explains how to search. And then what you can do is, if I say source type, oh, we're not actually seeing our full drop down. What's up with that? So let's make sure we got count. Whoops. Here we go. Sorry, jumped away. Happy accidents along the way. Preferences, SPL editor. We want to see the full. Okay, I had none, so I actually wasn't selected on full, and click apply. So I'm drop in S. Now I can see all my matching terms dropping down. So we'll type in source type, and now you can see that that example search before it, source type equals, yep, that's the one. And then it said make it all time. Ooh, now we get to do some new things. We're going to do our first command, even though we already did time chart. We're going to say top. And what's going to give us is our top results. Top command, no specified fields. Oh, I got ahead of myself. Oh, so we need to top the category ID. And there we go. We can now see the top results based off a category ID. So we have strategy over here with a total of 806 purchases, and it makes up 80%. Run the search. Okay, make sure everything looking good. The result of the top commands appears in the statistics tab. Yep, we've done that. And the top command is a transforming command. So this is one of the first things. So in the very first, before the pipe, this is a first filtering command. And then after the pipe is our transforming command. A transforming command organizes the search results into a table using transforming commands to generate results that you can use to create visualizations such as column, line, area, and pie charts. And you will learn about the more visualizations later in this tutorial. I want to learn about them now. All right, that's exactly what we're doing now. So what we'll do is we'll click on visualization. Click on column charts right here to open the visualize and type selector. Column bar charts are listed and recommended chart type for this data set. Okay, so now you can see the strategy, purchases, arcade, tea, accessories, simulation, shooter, sports. If you want to visualize it in a pie chart, I guess we just click on pie chart. Yep. And we got about a few minutes left before we go into this, and I want to get a list as far as we can build a dashboard for you guys. And then as we go along, this will just be that introductory, kind of guiding you how to do this. And then if you want to do it, continue this process on your own, you got all the documentation here. So just think about this is just getting you started down the roadmap of how to figure this stuff out. All right. So click on the strategy slice. So click on strategy slice. Ah, perfect. So what it did when we clicked on the strategy slice, it actually dropped this filter in for us. So basically ands it. And so now we're only looking at category strategy. So let me do that again. I click the back button so we go back to the search. And when I click on category, so right now categories or ID strategy is not there. And when I click on it, it actually dropped that in there. So now we can start filtering in on those results. So think of this as an investigation. You're in an investigation. You're not really trying to build reports. You're just trying to start figuring out what's going on, what was my downtime reason, or why was my off quality or something along the lines, and kind of bringing those in. All right, perfect. A little bit of water by that. All right, so we're going to start a new search. So search without a sub-search. You want to find the single most frequent shopper on the Buttercup Games online store and what's that shopper and what that shopper has purchased. Use the top command to return the most frequent shopper. Yeah, I'll drop the link right here. So let me just click over here. Introduction about the search tutorial. I'll drop the link in right now. Here you go. There's the search tutorial right there for you. Let me know if you don't get it. Maybe no, I can only read only for the search tutorial. Apparently, with the way the restream works for the LinkedIn streaming. I can't drop it in chat, but what you can do is just go Splunk search tutorial and about the Splunk search tutorial documentation. And you'll just basically click on Splunk Cloud Platform or Splunk Enterprise Guide, which way pathway you would go. I would recommend the Splunk Cloud Platform because then you don't have to spin up your own server or anything like that. Just get started right away. Okay. So start a new search. Change the time range to all time. Okay, what we were trying to find is what's that. Okay, you want to find the single most frequent shopper on the Buttercup Games online store and what that shopper has purchased. Use the top command to return that most frequent shopper. So start a new search. Click all time. I'm just gonna copy this in. And we'll kind of diagnose it real quick. And if you see your screen and it kind of looks like this, and you have pipe, and sometimes you can see that I can clean it up real quickly. If you're on a Windows or PC, or you can press Command pipe, but if you're on Apple or Linux, you can press Control pipe for Windows PC, Command pipe for Macintosh to kind of clean that up for you. One of my favorite things to kind of visualize things, because it gets a little bit overwhelming if you don't have it organized this way. Okay, so we got a result set with a limit 1 argument. So we did a top command. So top, I think, defaults to like maybe 10, but in this particular case, you will want to do limit equals 1 because we want to find the person that has purchased the most. So this is our number 1 top buyer of. I wonder what we can do. Let's see what he purchases. See, this is what I do. With Splunk, I want to figure out exactly what this guy's purchasing. You know, we can come in here and let's say if I click on this, it'll drop our client IP. Say new search, client IP. Oops, I want to connect. So I click back in the back arrow so it can be my previous search. And I'm going to take in the rest of this information here. And I will drop that here. And then what I can do is, so I've now filtered it based off that client IP. The action is purchase, status equals 200, source type equals access underscore star. And then I'm going to put a pipe and I'm going to say stats count by, oh, what was that command? It's category ID, I believe. Yeah. Category. And it is case sensitive, so keep that in mind. If I did this right, make sure I got that right. So one way to do this real quickly is you'll just delete or you'll cut that command out. And what you want to do is search for that specific purchase. Maybe I can't find it from this data. I was just kind of curious as we were diving through that. Again, having fun, doing some investigation, looking at our data, learning. category. That's right there. Yeah, I must not have spelled it right. That was probably the case. Okay. I'm gonna just copy this. I can click here and then copy it here to make sure I spell it right, because like I said, not the fastest speller. Okay, so this guy from this one IP address has bought 12 accessories. And then let's say we want to sort it. So we can say pipe sort by count. I think that's what I want to do. Yeah. So right now I've got it sort. Well, I don't have to put the by clause. I just put sort count. Right now I have it in ascending order. Maybe I want to do in descending order. I can put a minus in front of the count. So our top purchase. He loves strategy. Loves arcades. Excited about some accessories, teas, simulation, sports, and shooters. So he and I probably wouldn't be playing much games together because I'm more of a shooter type of person. So, but I digress. Let's get back to the search tutorial. Okay, so we now are going to come in here, and so we've figured out exactly what the most frequent search shopper is by this command here. We'll paste that back in. And that's that IP. The search returns one client IP with a value of, I won't read that all the way off, it ends in 51, which you will use to identify the VIP shopper. The search also returns a count and a percentage. These are default fields that are returned with the top command. You now need to run another search to determine how many different products the VIP shopper has purchased. Use the stats command to count the purchases by this VIP customer. Okay. So really what we're going to do is we're just going to copy the rest of this part. And what they're saying is, let's kind of clean that up. We're going to take out the top command. We're going to paste in the stats command. The stats command difference from a time chart. Stats command aggregates it all into a single column for us. So we're going to stats the count. So how much distinct product IDs. Oh, we do need to define what the IP address is, client IP address. Distinct count of, so we're going to see the distinct number of count of product IDs, values, product IDs by client IP. And now we have those, the total count, the distinct product count, so all the different distinct IDs, and the exact command of which he actually purchased there. Yeah, definitely. Hey Nelson, how's it going? Definitely look up the fundamentals too as well. It's you can follow it all the way through, and there's additional training you can take online. We're just having fun here, getting started with Splunk and learning. All right, so expand example 2, search with a sub search. So let's start with our first requirement to identify the single most frequent shopper on the Buttercup Games online store. Copy and paste the following search command and bar and run in the search. And that is our single most shopper. So we kind of did a little bit. We did the same thing. We did a top command, which gave us that same search we saw before, which it gives, let me cut, come on, there we go. Top command. So now we just have this filtered down for us. In the next command that we're learning about, so I can press Shift Enter to give myself a new line and say pipe table. So table command. So that's basically, we're going to now select the fields that we want to keep. Table and client IP. Now I have a single value, and you could visualize this. So we'll just have some fun with this. So you can see this, so visualize it, and you would want to put this on a single value. So now you can like create a dashboard of visualization. We won't go into much of that today. Actually, you know what? We'll do that right now. Let's save this as a dashboard. It's not going to tell us much, but let's say you had a whole dashboard about all the current activities, and you want to know what your past. You can change your time picker here in the past hour. Like, who's the person buying the most from us? We need to give them a raffle or something like that. Tell them to come back and investigate further. What we'll do is we'll save this as a new dashboard, and we'll call top buyers dashboard. We'll create it private. We don't want to share it with anybody, but think about it as when you're building dashboards and visualizations, you may want to keep it in a private standpoint. We're going to basically work from the classic dashboards for most of this as we go along, but we do have the new Dashboard Studio, which gives us a lot more advanced features and capabilities, a lot of unique visualizations. It just kind of opens up the gate, but with that comes a little bit more complexity. But we'll stick with classic dashboard for now, and we'll say save to dashboard. And now you've created your first dashboard. And you can then change it. You can add a time picker. We won't get too much in this, but let's say time picker. You say, you know what? I actually want to derive when that time search was created. Again, it'll go through all this if you continue down the training course. We won't go into that. I think we won't have enough time because we do end the stream in 1 hour or in 10 minutes at the top of the hour. But just wanted to kind of show you this process. Go save, and then so let's continue over with this. If I want to go back to the search that I just did, I can just go here and click the magnifying glass and open it back up and search. You got that search right there. This search returns the client IP for the most frequent shopper. This search is almost identical to the search in example 1, step 1. The difference is the last pipe command table client IP, which we talked about, which displays the client information in a table because you only specified the client IP with the table field command. You can also just specify an additional one. So if I come in here, put star, I can just say, hey, I want to see client IP, and then fill the rest of them in. But we'll follow the instructions. The count percentage fields that were at the top or common generate are now discarded from the output. And also, there's another command that's called fields that's actually less taxing. And you can do fields minus. If I want to say I just want to remove one of the values and I want to remove client IP, I can just do that, and then it'll just fields minus, I guess I have to have a space. Yeah, so it removes just that one specific instance. But we can press Control-Z to get back to where we were. All right, so now copy and paste the following search into the bar. With this search, we've got a sub search here. Fun. And a quick pipe so you can kind of see how that sub search works. To find what the shopper has purchased, you need to run a search on the same data. You provide the results of the most frequent shopper search as one of the criteria for the purchases search. The most frequent shopper search becomes the sub-search for the purchases search. The purchases search is referred to as an outer or primary search because you are searching the same data. The beginning of the outer search is identical to the beginning of the sub-search. A sub-search is enclosed in brackets and processed first when the search criteria are parsed. Copy and paste the following search into the search bar and run it. So basically we did a sub-search that filters out some information and then does a stats command for us and filters it based off of what we see below. So if we take out the sub-search, let's just copy and look what that looks like. Now we see all the specific IP addresses. When I put the sub-search in, what it's now done is it runs the same command and tables the client IP. And when I do the stats count by client IP, it then filters it down for us. So we can really quickly search over, how much data is that to just run through? It's not going to be mind-blowing because I've seen some mind-blowing Splunk searches, but you can kind of get an idea of, we're filtering 5,000 data points and then command and stats count. Boom, there you go. So I know we're getting low on time, so I'm going to switch back over to the presentation. And we're going to talk about a little bit of things, survey, and if you guys want to get started and know more, please just sign up for Splunk Cloud. You can just go to splunk.com, free Splunk, and then fill out your information. Or if you have a username, you can click login and get started. And then at the same time, if you want to get to about the Splunk search tutorial, just Google Splunk search tutorial, and it'll take you right there. This first about the Splunk search tutorial documentation right there. Well, perfect. Well, I'd say it's a blast. I feel like even though you guys weren't, it seems like LinkedIn was having issues with maybe some of the quality of information coming through. It might be my fault on my side. Um, but I really appreciate you guys joining us today. If you're interested in seeing more things or a different variety of information, please feel free to fill out the survey. I think there's a spot for you guys to say some additional information. And lastly, but not least, Splunk Conf, October 18th through the 21st. It is virtual and hybrid. So keep that in mind as you're wanting to look into what's going on with Splunk Conf, new products. We're going to have a lot of different presentations. I know we got some really cool things from IoT perspective. So please join us virtually or in person. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. I know it's been a pleasure for all mine. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to back up just a little bit for the people that may have joined a little bit late. We'll talk about kind of the other classes that we'll be having. So today we are doing Grey's Academy 101 first Thursday. And then we'll have Grey's Academy 201 second Thursday. And this second Thursday, this will be where we kind of start diving into some of the new things that are coming out with Splunk, finding out what they mean, what the value. Think about it as like what you would have if you've been to Splunk Conf, kind of like the pavilion experience. And the third Thursday is like, I say it's proficiency level expert, but really what it means is people that know what the use cases of Splunk are, but they may want to look into some of those non-traditional cases. For example, if you go to our previous stream, you can see what one of our partners had done, Gray Matter, with a device that can sniff for Wi-Fi hotspots. So for example, Wi-Fi hotspots, as you take a Wi-Fi, like you say your phone, iPhone, Samsung, or on any of these devices, you can tether your phone to your computer, and a lot of these things will just stay on all the time. But in the industrial space, these Wi-Fi hotspots can cause some communication issues with the machines and devices in the space. So it's really cool. What they did is they basically had a scanner that was automatically piping data from the Wi-Fi SSIDs and sending them into Splunk. Upwards of 150,000 scans. He made a portable one of the Gray Matter guys, Tom Walker, and he made a portable one that he drove I think about an hour-long drive, and he picked up 150,000 SSIDs and was able to see all the information associated to it. So really cool stuff, but really the purpose is to protect a plant facility from unwarranted or unwanted SSIDs or people with hotspots. And at the same time, people might be trying to connect to that intranet manufacturing floor and bridging a connection between the two, which is a big no-no in the manufacturing space. So that's kind of the overview. Please join us next week or the following week. And if you know people that might find this interesting, please feel free to reach out to them. Let them know we'll be doing this next month. All right, that was it. Thank you everyone for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.